Welcome to Translation Mysteries. In this video, I'll be using live footage from my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 stream. But first, I want to make one thing clear. Localization is an art, not a science. There's almost never a right answer, so these are just my opinions at the end of the day. With that out of the way, let's get into it.
はあ、なんかすげえの出してきたな。
Good translation, I like that.
どうした？
俺たち尺道だよな。
コロニーランクの話？昨日は大戦果だったからね。
So instead of putting emphasis on words by making them capitalized, they use the asterisks. And that was a good use of that because you have to be able to read it a certain way to give the same nuance as the Japanese.
いやいやいや、俺の半分は無理と無茶でできてんだぜ。それなしってお前、戦力大幅ダウンだ。
ランツランツ背負い込むのなし。
冗談だよ。怖え顔すんなよ。
Good translation of Kawaii Kao. Kawaii Kao is very, very commonly used in like JRPGs and anime and stuff. And a lot of translators will write, "No need to make that scary face," and it sounds very weird because in English you don't usually tell people why you gotta make that scary face. It's not. That's the reason why he said no need to glare, because that's a lot more natural than telling someone, "Don't make the scary face at me." You can see the difference between how this is translated and how something like Danganronpa, for example, is translated. Danganronpa feels like it didn't have a lot of time to be polished, and the translation style was, we want this to be as close to the original as possible. Whereas this, it has a lot of polish, and they're definitely in a space where they're keeping it close to the source text, but where they can, they're really flavoring it. Nothing like going toe-to-toe to get out of your head. It really helps you focus. I like this translation. If you can ever, like, mix up two different sayings to say something that's of the same category, even though you're... Okay, it's hard for me to explain what I'm trying to say. So here he says, nothing like going toe-to-toe to get out of your head. Two different sorts of sayings, right? Get out of your own head is not literal. Going toe-to-toe is not necessarily literal. It's actually fighting. You do go, like, toe-to-toe, but toe-to-toe is about the human body, and out of your head is also about the human body. So they've taken two different sayings that you don't necessarily use together. They've put them together, and it works in a literal sense because it's both about the human body, and it works in a figurative sense because in this context you can spar in order to stop thinking about the thing too hard. So I like this translation a lot.
なんだ2時の方向に敵軍を察知。本体に知らせてくれ。先行したムンバたちが心配だ。俺たちはこのまま進む。了解だ。任しといてくれ。
I'll handle it's a good translation of makaseru. Makashitoite kure. Sounds like leave it to me, which is how that's translated a lot in games and anime and stuff. So you see it a lot. Leave it to me. But I like that they made it I'll handle it.
何枚やんだあの紙切れ。
君に逃げ場はない。僕のモンドは君の気配をどこまでも追いかける。
Follow you to the end of the world is a little bit more flavorful than the Japanese. The Japanese just said it'll follow you wherever you go. I'm actually surprised at how close the translations are to the original.
なるほどな。こんなとこに落ちたのもそのためか。へっ。これが運命ってんならいいぜ。このゲルニカバンダム乗っかってやら。
And I'm surprised that guy's text is not like way more flavorful from the way he's speaking in Japanese.
当然だ。多くの仲間の命が失われていった。こいつらの手にかかって。
In Japanese, he just said koitsura, which it means these guys. It's kind of close to saying something like an insult, but filth is way more aggressive than koitsura.
さあ目的のものは目の前だ手にしてみろよ手にするちょっと前にこの俺が殺してやる最高だろう最高にうまいぜその瞬間の命は
Okay, so he said, "Isn't this great? Isn't this delicious?" The moment a life is about to run out, something like that, if I remember correctly. But I like this is what I've been saying about this translation so far. It's actually very close to the source text, unlike Xenoblade Chronicles 1, but they just add a little bit of flavor, It's really good.
やめろ
Stop! Yamero! Yeah, that was predictable. I like the translation though. They didn't want it to go with just stop, stop. They added a little bit more to it.
邪魔だ足を引っ張るなら消えろ偉そうに
Erasoni feels more like you're speaking at me like you're better than me. The nerve of this guy is a little bit different.
動けとりあえず一匹目だ
2 for 1. That's good. Matomete just means to like put things together. So basically both at once. 2 for 1's a good translation of that.
要するに俺たちは敵同士ってことさ理解できたかできたんなら仕切り直していくぜ
Let's get back on the dance floor. Is right in here? Let's dance.
いいなその命たった10年で終わらせるな命を紡げるのはウロボロスとなったお前たちだけだ
I don't think in Japanese he said you kids deserve better, but it was sort of implied by what he was saying. So I guess they threw that into the translation. Right? Like he wants them to live longer. So it's something that he would say. You kids deserve better than to live only 10 years.
僕たちもだ帰還するぞミオセナ
だって
だってと
その聞き方好きじゃない
このままこうしていても仕方ないだろう
She said she doesn't like the way he's speaking to her, but she did not say that he was being rude. It's implied, but a little bit, just a tiny bit different. It's a fine translation though.
聞こえてないよランツ
あいつら俺たちのことがわからないのかどうするノアノア
今は応戦するしかない
応戦って本気か
当然殺さずにだ
無茶言うぜハードル高すぎも
There's one thing you'll see in a lot of like of the more creative translations is that the English script will add sarcasm because sarcasm isn't really a thing in Japanese. It is a thing, but it's not quite that common. And so Ace Attorney is a good example of a game where there's a lot of sarcasm in Ace Attorney, but that's mostly in the English version. It's not quite as sarcastic in the Japanese version. Here, she said yoku ize, which is a response to when someone says something that you're not necessarily a fan of. But in English, she said, "Oh, is that all?" Which is obviously way more sarcastic than saying yoku ize. So that's something that's pretty interesting, just generally in terms of translation. That's all for now. There will be more videos coming soon, so if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to discuss the translations live, be sure to drop a follow on Twitch at BrooklynB_JP. We'll also be doing a translation stream of Yokai Watch 4 once I hit 200 followers, so all the more reason to hit that follow button on Twitch. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.